Welcome back. We to preview Saturday's Premier League clash between Sunderland and Burnley at the Stadium of Life. Pascal, these two sides sitting just outside the relegation zone on 20 points. Starting with the home side, really poor run of form at the moment.
They are, yeah, and they couldn't get any respite in the Cup. They hosted Fulham, obviously a championship side, sort of mid-table championship side. Fulham, they haven't had a great season down there since relegation. Only a 0-0 draw. That's disappointing. They put out a pretty strong side there. Defoe started again. He couldn't get his goal, but I think it's 4 defeats in 5 Premier League games now, and only 1 win in 12 in the Premier League, which leaves them, like you say, 1 point off the drop zone. So we're really worrying times for Gus Poyet here. Whether he hasn't been too active in the transfer window yet, maybe there's only a few days left now. Whether he's going to try and bring some people in. Obviously, Defoe is the sort of headline person, but he's started 2 games now and not been able to score in either. So he hasn't quite hit the ground running. He certainly needs to, because we've talked so many times this season about their striker problems, haven't we? Obviously, Stephen Fletcher has his injury problems. He can't quite maintain a starting place. Connor Wickham, he hasn't looked great this season. So they certainly need to improve. And it's really worrying times at the moment. Yeah.
I think last time we mentioned they've got poor form, but last time against Spurs, they were quite unfortunate, weren't they, to lose their game. Ericsson scored late on. I mean, Spurs have had so many 2-1 wins with late goals as well. It always seems to be Ericsson, doesn't it? And I think Sunderland last time, before that as well, they'd lost against Liverpool and Man City, and they played quite well, especially in the City game. They deserved probably to get something out of that game. And last time against Spurs, it's disappointing, but it's a difficult run of form. And I think Sunderland, if they're going to stay in the league this season, it's going to be against teams like Burnley, where they need to pick up points, because it's been a struggle all season. They've drawn too many games. That's been the story of their season. Need to not drawing too many at the minute, losing some, but they need to start picking up wins.
Definitely, I think their home record is where they've got to improve. They've got the worst home record in the league, only 9 points and only 1 home win all season, and that's so disappointing, because they have had the odd good game at home. I mean, the Chelsea one really stands out for me. They were fabulous in that game, holding Chelsea to a 0-0 draw. And but they have got team selection problems here. Rodwell suspended. He got sent off against Fulham, so he'll miss this game. It looks like Adam Johnson, Wes Brown, Lee Catamol, they could all miss this. So there's problems for Poyet there. And obviously, I've mentioned Defoe. This is a game where he really fancies scoring. Obviously, Burnley just below Sunderland in the table. Not the greatest defence in the league. Our teams, but I think Burnley, they've conceded 7 in their last 2 games. So Defoe might fancy scoring here, but it's a really big game for Sunderland, this one.
Moving to Burnley, like you said, I mean, they should be well rested. They had 2 weeks off since losing to Palace last time. I think that's a really disappointing defeat, wasn't it, to lose against Palace. And obviously, the same with Sunderland. Whether they stay in the league, Burnley is going to be the results of teams around them. But they've struggled this season, especially on the road. I mean, only QPR have got a worse away record. I think they've only won 2 in their history, 2 away games in the Premier League. One was against 5 years ago against Hull, was it? And early in the season was against Hull, and the other one was 5 years ago. So that's going to be their struggle, as it is with all the teams down there away from home. Can you pick up enough points? It's interesting to see whether they can start that here.
Definitely. It's a really big couple of games for them now. Obviously, Sunderland, we've mentioned how bad their home form is, but Burnley, like I said, they've struggled away from home this season. I think it's a tough game to call, but then next week they host West Brom, obviously one of the teams in the bottom half of them, and that's a tough game for them, isn't it, hosting West Brom, who are looking rejuvenated under Tony Pulis. So I think it's a really big couple of games for Sean Dyche's men, and I think it'll be interesting to see who he starts up front in this game, because obviously Sam Vokes, he is fit again now, but he hasn't quite worked his way into the team. Ashley Barnes has managed to keep his place alongside Danny Ings. Danny Ings really impressing. He's scored quite a few goals recently. But I think maybe it might be time to start Sam Vokes and see if, because Vokes and Ings last season in the Championship, it was a fantastic partnership. I think they both scored 20 goals at least, so they were both brilliant together. But obviously in the Premier League this season, they haven't had a chance to quite gel in the same way. Obviously both were missing at the start of the season, but they're both fit now, and I think Dyche might have to start playing them together from the start.
So Pascal, 2 teams horribly out of form at the moment. What's your score prediction for this one?
Yeah, it's a really tough game to call. Obviously, we've said Sunderland's their home form woes, but Burnley equally bad away from home, really. So I think it's such a tough game. I have to go for a draw, 1-1.
1-1. I'm actually going to back a draw as well. I think it's going to be 0-0. Neither side scores enough goals for me. So both back in draws in this game. Thanks for joining us.